and she leads the Pasco chapter. Bonnie, welcome to KMT. We're so happy to have you here. Please tell us what you're working on in Pasco.
Well, thanks, Tim. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on with you and congratulate you three. I think this is fantastic, not just for yourselves, but the Tea Party and 9/12 movement for the Tampa Bay area. And I'm very proud of you, and I know our groups are going to be proud of you as well. What's going on up in Pasco, and I'm hoping that a lot of people have heard about it, is Organizing for America in the Pasco schools. And I really don't have objections to have, if Organizing for America wants to be there, as long as they have that Romney campaign in there as well. But under some false pretenses in some cases, the Organizing for America folks have gone in saying they're working for the Pasco County Supervisor of Elections to go in for voter registration drives. Now, the Pasco County Supervisor of Election, Brian Corley, does go into high schools and has voter drives, but had not been aware that these folks were doing that. When they go under those false pretenses, that in itself is a crime there. So that is under investigation, not only with the school board, but with Brian Corley's office as well. But they're going into high school. They've gone into some high schools and middle schools. Now, middle school, I don't understand that one, and I really haven't seen any detail on why they would be in middle schools, because those kids are not close to voter age yet. But they're going in and having voter registration drives during lunch hours, and the school board has a nonpartisan policy that they like to keep. Mm-hmm. Well, these folks are walking around with Obama-Biden stickers, mm-hmm. not only on their buttons, their clipboards are covered with it, actually giving some students a hard time if they're registering to be a Republican.
That's outrageous.
And
Absolutely.
Why would you want to vote Republican? They don't like poor people, was overheard by a teacher. So they're intimidating kids, and actually had opportunity in a couple of the schools, and Gulf High was mentioned for giving pro-Obama speeches as well. Wow. So they've got a captured audience, and they're giving one side of the story. I wouldn't be happy if they were giving one side of the story with Romney. My thinking is, let's get these kids involved with the election process. We need to get younger people involved, but they've stopped it. Right with, they've had an opportunity to have Bill Bunting, who is the state Republican committeeman for Pasco County, invited him, uninvited him, invited him back in again, and then uninvited him a second time, because they said they don't want to break another rule by having a partisan person come in.
How incredible.
So they're not interested. Okay, yes, we had this one issue, but they don't want to correct it by, okay, let's explain what we've done. Okay, we've had one side, let's get the other side in, and let's keep it bipartisan and teach these kids mm-hmm. what's going on.
And of course,
Go ahead, Karen.
Well, I was just going to say, and the date has passed, so it can't be rectified. You can't register anyone to vote. So
No, you can't. No, but they still can get kids that are approaching voter age, and then as they get to 18, they'll get that email to remind them, yes, that you're registered to vote. And don't forget about your constitutional right of voting. And so they still can register those younger kids who aren't of voting age. But one thing I found interesting was a quote in the Tampa Bay Times was from the school board attorney, Dennis Alfonso. Just because one person made comments inappropriately does not mean the district must open its doors to all competing points of view.
Well,
I find that a little troubling.
Well, it's very troubling, and as a matter of fact, Bonnie, it speaks exactly to what we've talked about all the time. We're a nonpartisan group. The Tampa 912 is a nonpartisan group, and all we've ever asked, as I mentioned earlier, is that folks follow the rules. The convenient thing that we find too often is, oops, we broke the rules. Sorry about that, but we're not going to let you come in and give a counterpoint of view. It's always, and I almost understand it because I kind of live by this philosophy myself. It's always easier to ask forgiveness than it is to get permission. But folks, the thing that you need to keep in mind is these are the people that are in elected positions that have the ability to impact and affect your life. So what you're doing there, Bonnie, is just yeoman's work as ever. We appreciate all of your hard work. What else do you have there? Well,
I want to let folks know the next school board meeting for Pasco is scheduled for this upcoming Tuesday, the 16th at 6 p.m. And if you'd like to get your voices heard about this, and I know a lot of students and a lot of parents were really concerned about this, I encourage them to go to that school board meeting. My understanding was that the last school board meeting, they were not letting too many people get up and talk, if at all, about this issue. They're trying to scoot it aside, and I understand they do have an investigation, which is a good thing, but people need to be heard. Parents need to be heard. And even if you don't have students in that Pasco school, in Pasco schools, you are paying for that school through your tax dollars. And if we're going to be teaching our students and our future voters about that elective process, they need to know both sides.
Absolutely. Bonnie, thank you again for that. We just appreciate that so much. And, of course, what you just said is keeping right in line with what we're talking about here on KMT Radio. Again, you have the ability to call in. You can reach us at 289-1860 and toll free at 877-969-8700. As Bonnie encouraged you, please be silent no longer. It is time to get up off the couch. Rick Santelli motivated and inspired a lot of folks. I know that over the past years, that we've heard a lot of folks say, I'm tired of throwing my shoes at my TVs because they're getting very, very expensive and they're getting very big also. So, Bonnie, thank you again for being here today. We appreciate it. And as with the others, we'd like to have you back again sometime so that we can get an update on exactly what's going on. Thanks again, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier that one of the segments that you're going to hear us talking about is called Yes, I Did Build That. And if you think that has anything to do with what the president said, you're exactly correct. We'll introduce those segments and we'll talk more about that. Try to get somebody on the line, one or two of you on the line here before we wrap up today. Thanks so much for joining us. You can get us at 1-877-969-8600 and locally 289-1860. This is KMT Radio.
Talk Radio 860 WGUL.
American families are suffering in this economy, and many are not sure how to fix it. Join Americans for Prosperity as their Failing Agenda bus tour stops in Tampa at 5 p.m. Monday evening at the Americans for Prosperity Volunteer Center, located at 1005 West Bush Boulevard in Tampa. Stop by our open house and enjoy barbecue and dessert on us. Join us as we advocate for economic freedom.
Welcome back to KMT Radio with Karen, Mark, and Tim. To get in on the conversation, call now in Hillsborough, 289-1860, or toll free at 877-969-8600. Now, back to KMT Radio on Tampa Bay's conservative talk station, 860 WGUL.
All right, welcome back. I'm Tim along with Karen and Mark, and you can reach us at 289-1860 local and nationwide 877-969-8600. And I love that lead-in where he talks about conservative talk radio. But here you can come for both conservative talk radio, but more importantly, and we have it sitting right here with us, you can come here for constitutional talk radio. And before we get started, we're moving toward the end here. It's amazing how fast time goes. But we have a couple folks on the phone, and what I'd like to do is, and this is a special treat for me, I've got my very good friend Tom calling us, a young man that lives in Hawaii now that I had the pleasure of serving with. Tom, are you there?
I'm here, Tim. Congratulations to you and KMT.
Thanks so much, Tom. It's great to hear from you. How are things in Hawaii? What's going on over there? I missed that golf course.
Well, I bet you do. You spent quite a bit of time on it. And, congratulations to everybody there at KMT again. As Tim mentioned, I'm a former Marine officer, combat arms, small businessman since then, and a lot of things going on today that can completely have me wondering, what is happening here with our country. As you know, I basically, while I was a Marine, worked my way through my own education, as many Marines do. Nobody helped me to do that on the way through. Got my bachelor's degree, achieved my master's degree, became a Marine officer, served my country for 21 years, got out, became a small businessman, started a small construction business in Phoenix, Arizona, probably for about 7 years there, became a multi-million-dollar company, and decided to turn that over to my son, come back to the land that I love here in Hawaii, and started another company here. Again, no help from the government, especially anybody. This was built by me, and turned this into a multi-million-dollar company. And so it's a shame, as a guy who spends 21 years serving his country in combat arms, then goes to several communities, develops companies, infuses millions of dollars into those local economies, and then to be told that you didn't build that somehow the government is the one who's responsible for doing that. Just unbelievable.
Tommy, something tells me that didn't go over so well with you.
No, it didn't. And, I preach my story as much as I can when I hear that, and it didn't. And I do just about everything I can to get over that hump. My story, I don't think, is any different than millions and millions of small businessmen, out there. The economy, the government today likes to kind of tout that they have something to do with slight possible upticks in the economy and so on. As far as I'm concerned, they have nothing to do with it. It's guys like me and millions of others out there who refuse to trip over those hurdles that are put in front of us. And we continue to get over those and continue to push the economy along to a point where we will see a comeback.
Absolutely. Well, Tommy, thank you so much for calling. I'm going to get over there. I know I've said it before, but I'm coming back to see you and Susie, and we'll go hang out on the beach and do some more of that. But Tommy, your story is a great segue into this segment that we're going to be doing on a regular basis called Yes, I Did Build That, where we're going to hear from folks like you, entrepreneurs, small business owners, actual job creators, and they're going to tell us how they've done it, just much like Tommy has done just now. They're going to tell us how they had to make a payroll and they had to balance their budget, how they balanced attracting, paying, and keeping good employees while still being able to leave a little bit in the bank at the end of the month for their investment and for their risk-taking. So, Tommy, thanks again. It's great to hear from you. The other thing that I might mention about that is Tom is a great example of how they've done it through thick and thin, good times and bad, Republicans and Democrats. And as Tommy said, more times than not, it's in spite of the government, not because of the government. So what I'd like to do now, because we're getting close to the end, and see we've got a few other folks, we've got to take care of a few more things. Mark, I want to tell you, if you would, tell us a little bit about the other segment that we're going to be talking about, the letters to the editors.
Yeah, it's another segment. We're going to make it a regular feature. We've all lived it. You know, you see a stupid editorial in the paper, and you want to write write a letter, but you know it's not going to get published or printed, so you don't write it and you don't get your voice out there. Well, what we want to do is have you write that letter, submit it to us, and we'll take one each week, have you actually record it, and we'll play it on the air. So you'll literally have your voice heard.
Silent no longer.
That's exactly it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for that. And Karen, the other thing that we're going to be doing is the Founding Fathers' favorite phrase. So, and what that is we're asking for you all